Welcome to the Failure to Stop podcast, the number one podcast for police breakdowns. Today, we're breaking down a case out of LA where it's a grim moment. An ex-Real Housewives of Orange County's brother. Imagine being so famous that you are referred to by every article as the Real Housewives of Orange County's brother. Shot and killed by police, Newport Beach. And this is going to be a very fun breakdown. And to break this down with you, I have a real taser expert because this case involves a taser. Not only do I have a taser expert on, but this taser expert may or may not have actually tased me once. He may or may not have tased. Well, I'll let him tell the story of where and why he tased me. Today's show is brought to you by factormeals.com/Wolfpack50. Let's see. It's factormeals.com/Wolfpack50OFF. That is a new promo code. You've got to be careful. If you use the old promo code, it's not going to work. And I've got to retrain my brain to say it correctly, which is Wolfpack50OFF. Wolfpack off. And that's going to get you 50% off your first order plus free shipping. So it is a big deal. Summer's right around the corner and you want to get looking good. You want to have that body that you can be proud of. So on July 4th, when you're smashing hot dogs right alongside of Joey Chestnut going for his millionth championship in the World Hot Dog Eating Contest, the GOAT of hot dog eaters. If you want to shamelessly shove hot dogs down your throat, now is the time to get in shape. Factor Meals can help you do that. These are chef-prepared, fresh and never frozen. Order meals delivered right to your door. Pop them in a microwave, 2 minutes or less. Beat the traffic. Beat the time that it takes to go to the grocery store. You don't have time right now because summer is approaching. You need to be getting Papa Swolio, doing those push-ups, those crunches, getting your tan on. Nobody wants to see you on 4th of July looking jacked, but you got the redneck tan lines going on. You know what I mean? Where it just cuts off at the bicep down your tan and from the neck up your tan, and you get this super pasty white chest that's just kind of like, what's the point, right? Like, what's the point of getting in super good shape other than living a healthy lifestyle? But then you're going to look like a weirdo McBeardo. I don't know. Listen, just now is the time. And you could be, instead of going to the grocery, you could just be sitting, sucking in some sun rays, getting a tan because you've gotten Factor Meals and all of your meal prep is done for the week. Calorie conscious, protein heavy, whatever it is that you want to do. They even have a keto option. They've got all the snacks and all these sides to go with all of these meals as well. Order Factor Meals, 75.com/Wolfpack50OFF. That's Wolfpack50OFF. Start your meal plan today. And today's show is also brought to you by GhostBed.com. Sleep so good, it's scary. Let's get into this amazing episode, this crazy breakdown up in Newport Beach. Let's go.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guns up and giddy up, failure to stop. It's not a live show today. That's crazy to say after, I don't know, 5 years of doing this live. Screw it, we're going live. Today we are pre-recording. Why? Why are we pre-recording? Why are you not engaging me in the chats? Because my children have an amazing opportunity, and I want to give a shout out right now to my kids, Duke Tansey, Augie Tansey, Elkin Tansey. My 3 boys, my 2 daughters are too young to get a shout out, but my 3 older boys, so proud of them, on their way to Woodward, Pennsylvania right now, skating with 5 other of the best East Coast Grom rippers in skateboarding on the East Coast. And we got invited and we are just, it's so exciting. And I'm so excited for them. I just hope I don't mess it up. I think I'm going to be the weird dad. So what it is it's like these 6 Grom ripper shredders from all over the place. Philly, Kentucky, New York, I think one of them's from, us from North Carolina, and I don't even remember where the other ones are from, but, you know, we're all coming together. It's this father-son, like big, massive skate session, and we all have to stay in the same bunkhouse together. So dads and sons all in the same bunk with these, like, bigger-than-life super shredder personalities. If you've never seen my kid on social media, Duke Tansey, way beyond his years. He's 12, and then, of course, my 10 and 7-year-old. but they act like they're 25. Their content is primo, funny content. They run commercial ads for people. They speak in front of thousands of people. They've rolled around with Tony Hawk. They've done autograph signings. So like you've got 6 of these kids whose personalities are bigger than life. And then these 3 dads who are just basically trying to keep up with their kids. And now we all have to be shoved into one bunkhouse. This is going to be exciting. I just like I said, I don't know these dads. And I don't know how, I can come off a little bit strange to people, especially when you're first meeting me. It's better to have me in small doses, but these guys are going to get the full Tansey for 4 straight days. We'll see how it goes. Right now, really quick though, Pig Latin, a seriously funny, true story, quickly becoming the #1 most anticipated book of 2025. And that is because of you guys. I was actually in this meeting, and one of these big shot guys that's in the meetings with us. And listen, I'm going to tell you guys more about this. I just have to wait. I have to be a little bit more patient because I don't know what I'm allowed to say, when I'm allowed to say it. Everything right now is it's like surgical, right? Like, and I'm just the guy in the room that the doctor's like scalpel, and then I hand him the scalpel, or whatever. It's getting big. And he referred to my book as the most anticipated book of 2025. And this is why we need to do this. And this is why we need to do that. And this is how much time we don't have to do this in. And like when he said most anticipated book of 2025, like, I don't know what to say. I don't even know how to act excited beyond like that is obvious, but how do you act that excited? You know what I mean? Because I'm not a child going to Disney World. That would be a weird kind of excitement, I feel like. But also I don't want to play it too cool that I seem ungrateful. So it's very hard to even be myself because I don't know what myself is in a situation like I have going on with Pig Latin. I say all that because this is mainly in part of you guys who have been on the journey of Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story with me for 4 or 5 years now, where you guys have been encouraging me to get the book out. Although I wrote the book many, many years ago, and I give you guys blurbs of it on the podcast. It was all because of you guys that were always like, you've got to get this book out. You've got to do this. And then of course, Nick Palmashano getting involved and taking it to the next level. So, this is a big win for all of us guys. It's such a big win. And that's what I'm most excited about, is that you guys are going to be proud of this because you guys are all going to know that you had something to do with this. So really appreciate all of the pre-orders. It's available on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes and Nobles, and on August 26th, it'll be in bookstores everywhere. But listen, if you keep on with the pre-orders, because we're killing it, that's what's making it the most anticipated book of 2025. A lot of books, they don't get pre-sales or pre-orders. Nobody cares, right? Celebrities are so big that they don't have to do pre-orders or pre-sales. And so it's very fun when there's a guy like me who only has, 30,000 followers across the board on Instagram, Photostop and Eric Tansey, combined, right? So I got like 15 on each almost, right? So it's very strange when a guy like that doesn't have a following like I have, has a marketing team from Simon Schuster, the publishing house, that's like, what are you doing? How are you getting this many pre-orders? And I was like, man, I have the most loyal podcast fans, YouTube podcast fans as well. I always like to throw you guys a bone because we do this for some of you YouTube folks out there. And that's what it accounts for. Like, that's what makes that book so successful right now as a pre-order, is just because like I have people who are invested not only in me, but in the projects I have. And that's special. And that's why I love the Wolfpack so much. So thank you guys so much. And listen, if you have other fellow first responders out there that are trying to get into their own businesses and they're trying to start their own businesses, don't be jelly. Don't make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and sit on the couch and mope about it. You need to support them. It is so sad that the hardest people in the world to sell to are your friends and colleagues in the PD. I was talking to Sheepdog Holsters. This guy makes the most incredible holsters. He's an active duty police. He and I were talking about it. It's crazy how many fans you have outside of the city you work in, but like your own friends, like they don't really. I've had comedy shows all in Orlando, Florida, sold out comedy shows. Cincinnati, sold out comedy show, like standing room only. Taking over Kissimmee, standing room only. I do a comedy show in my own backyard. I don't know a single person there. Not one of my real friends, not one of my colleagues from the police department have ever been. I opened up for Vinny Montez and we gave free tickets to the PD. Vinny Montez, like he's got an Amazon special. He's got a Netflix special. He is like the cop comedian of cop comedians. and I got to open up for him. I got to do a 20-minute set for Vinny Montez. Do you know how many cops from my local PD showed up? 1 detective and 1 state trooper. And it's crazy, man. And it's great because these guys call me. You know, we talk on the phone. They invite me for coffee and stuff. But like when it comes down to actual like support, you know, sometimes it doesn't really feel like you get that support. Maybe it's just because they're too attached. I don't know what it is. But you need to support your brothers in arms. That's kind of, that sounded a little hyperbolic. But if you have a friend that's trying to make it and he is a first responder, you owe it to him to help him make it successful. Like I can't imagine hiring a lawn care business outside of the first response. Like how many law enforcement police officers do you know that have a lawn care business? Why? Like what? The reason why you're not supporting them is it's either A, you don't care, or B, you're jelly. Why wouldn't you want to? Even if they were like, oh, they're so expensive, like they're 10% more than the other guy. You're not willing to spend an extra 10% on somebody that you trust with your life to do your lawn. It's crazy. You know, if you've got lawn care, like how many guys do tree services or, you know, all sorts of different security stuff. You know, if you go to a church that has a security team, but you have a group of SWAT guys that have started their own security detail and you haven't at least pitched that your friends to your church or whatever, you know, it's a little fucked up. So go out and support your first responder friends. I like to support the guy that's coming up next because he has a book out called A Murder on Campus, The Professor, the Cop in North Carolina's Most Notorious Cold Case. And I have no reason to support this guy because he's done heinous and mean things to me. And he's actually detailed quite a bit in my book because he was my training officer. Let me bring him up right now. Cameron Santana from Santana True Crimes, author of A Murder on Campus, The Professor, the Cop in North Carolina's Most Notorious Cold Case, and host of the free Holtzclaw podcast, working extremely hard, going out of his way to free a man that he's never met, another cop who is serving 200 plus years in prison for a crime he did not commit. And on top of that, he committed 0 crimes ever. He's actually lived a very wholesome and clean and pure life, probably cleaner and more pure than my own. So again, a real selfless servant here. Santana, welcome to Failure to Stop's Breakdowns. How are you doing this morning?
Like,
let me unmute
how many
you.
years ago?
You were muted. Start over. So what again? What?
Sorry about that. So I tased you in the ass. How many years ago was that?
That's how you're going to start. Oh, it had to be almost 10 at this point, right? 8? 10?
You know, it's funny when looking back at that, I remember of how I somehow
13.
hit everyone in, like, the bottom dart hit like their butthole region. And I remember y'all all started talking about it and you're like, wait a minute, this guy's doing it on purpose.
Yeah. So in where we work at the Raleigh Police Department, your training officer is who tases you when you get your taser. So to be qualified with a taser, you have to be tased first.
Well,
and
it was actually, sorry to cut you off, I trained so many people that I just so happened to have everyone in the class. You have to be a taser instructor to tase someone.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just because you were like the senior training officer that you had trained so many people that you were the one that got to
I pretty much trained our entire squad when you
Right.
look at it. So yeah, I had like 4 or 5 people in the class that I trained that were on
right,
our
and not all
squad.
at one time, right? These are like over the series of
Right,
years.
right. Over
So
the,
like when I would
over the
talk
course of
to
a few years, right?
I would talk to a cop and I'd be like, dude, what's getting tased like? And he's like, oh, well, you know, Santana was my training officer. So he's the one that tased me and he tased me right in the ass. I'm like, bro, that motherfucker better not tase me in the ass. Like, that's bullshit. I'm like, where are they supposed to tase you? He's like, in the back. Like, you know what I mean? Like dead center mass of the back. And then I talked to another guy and I'm like, what was it like for you? You know, Spoon. And he was like, oh, well, he tased me right in the butt, dude. Like it was fucking
Well, you're
sucks,
supposed to
dude.
split the belt line. So I do that. I have the top dart goes in your lower back, and then the bottom dart hits your ass. That way, your whole body gets the effect.
Right. But when he does it, both darts hit you right square in the ass, and one is extremely close to your asshole. And that's where I got tased, and it was awful. And so today's case, though, the case breakdown that we have for you today is has a little bit to do with tasing gone wrong, I would say. I will give you guys some context to the story here. This is going to happen in Newport Beach, and the police officer is sitting at a red light, and a motorcycle is going to pass through the red light right in front of him. And so, of course, naturally, the cop pulls him over. Now, I will say that the cop in this scenario, this is going to give you as a cop the EBGBs. Have you ever thought about a man wearing a clown mask? You ever see the TikTok videos or the Instagram videos where a guy is in a dark alleyway and he's wearing like a Pennywise outfit, Jace?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know those?
Yeah.
And these people are walking by and they're like scared. Well, I look at those videos and I say, I bet you the guy in the Pennywise mask, I bet you he's a little scared too. Because it's just a mask and he knows it's just a mask. And he could be a girl. He could be, he's probably of some punk teenager that couldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight. And so you know that he's scared too. So even though the appearance of this Pennywise character in this cold, dark alleyway is supposed to be appearing like he's some kind of a menace to society, in reality, he's probably not. He's probably just as scared, just as nervous as you are. Cops are no different. Just because you see a cop and just because we portray to look super brave and courageous, oftentimes we're really not. We are plagued with inner doubt. We have seen people be stabbed. We have seen people be shot, and we've probably all lost a fight or two. We've probably lost a foot chase or two. And so we always have a little bit of a doubt. And so maybe because we put ourselves out there as that we're, that we have this badge and the shield that we hide behind, literally at the end of the day, we have feelings too, and we get nervous as well. So when a motorcycle like this just blatantly runs a red light and you're sitting right there, there's probably a little self-doubt in this police officer's back in the deep, darkest parts of his mind, because he's probably sitting there going like, who is this badass? Like, who is this biker that's so badass that he can just blow this red light in front of me without even having to worry about it? Have you ever been in a situation, Jace, where you pulled somebody over and you were like, man, maybe I've bitten off a little bit more than I can chew?
Yeah, funny that you say that. I was talking with Abby about this actually on her podcast, I believe, about kind of like the first time that someone tells you no. You in the academy, you have these situations where you're able to gain compliance and or you give the academy leg kick to the common peroneal and the person collapses. But then you have that call where I remember mine, it was a midnight shift. I was on training and these three people were fighting. One was a girl. My training officer took the girl to the side and I told the two guys who looked like NFL linemen to have a seat on the ground. And they just looked me square in the eye and said, "Fuck you, cop." And I remember looking at my training officer and he was occupied and I didn't want to seem scared, but I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do now? And luckily for me, Double A Boone and a couple of the SWAT guys just happened to be in the area and they checked in and jumped out with their, submachine guns. I got to look tough again. But for that moment, it was the worst feeling of, okay, I don't have justification to shoot them. They're unarmed, but they're definitely not complying. And they're both like twice my size.
And you have a girl for backup. And that's kind of my argument as well to female policing. It's not that females can't do the job. Matter of fact, my partner Red probably could do the job arguably better than I can, but she's an anomaly. Like, she's one in a million. I think all of the women in policing should be to that standard, but it does, like, sometimes you're just kind of like, if we get into this fight, like, I know she's going to help me, but like, if it's two linemen versus me and a chick, we're probably not winning that fight.
You know what? In those situations, even if you've got another guy with you, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
You're talking about Red, and funny story about her. I remember when we had a stolen vehicle and she found the suspect and I ran over to him and he goes, she's got me in the Bret Hart sharpshooter. Do you remember that move from the old wrestling days?
Yes.
And I swear to God, she had this guy in the damn sharpshooter and he's screaming for his life. And come to find out, he was the wrong guy. Like, the suspect had a Charlie Brown T-shirt. He was a black male with the yellow and black Charlie Brown T-shirt, and he just so happened to be another black guy with that shirt on. And so she tackled him to the ground and grabbed his legs. And I guess, I don't know if she had older brothers or what, but she threw him in the sharpshooter.
No way. Yeah, like I said,
not kidding you. You've got to ask her about that. I wish I had that on video, and when she dunked on those kids on Boyer Street.
That was pretty funny. So she was just for reference, she is in the book, Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story. Her name is Red in the book, but she is a captain of the basketball team in college. And I think they retired her jersey, and she had a bunch of records, and she was 6'1" and in great shape. And she was built to be a female cop. She was witty. She had the banter. She was a really great basketball player. She was fast. She had all the things going for her, and she was a badass. I mean, one time a guy tried to run, and he went to turn around to get up, and she kicked him in the back of the neck to kind of stomp his face back down, and his face hit the parking curb that he was sitting on, and it knocked out his teeth. And so, we teased her a long time for curb stomping people and things like that. But she just had this way about her. But, at the end of the day, not every female cop is a Red. And sometimes you do get stuck with a female cop. And we see it so many times in body camera footages, and it's a real thing. I'm not trying to be mean or sexist, but it's a real thing. And when when you're faced with the monster, who do you want to have next to you? Do you want to have a girl next to you, or do you want to have a man next to you? It's like the old social media viral moment where they said, if you're walking through the forest, would you rather run into a bear or a man? I mean, it's the same thing. If you're on the streets, the main streets, and you run into two linebacker sized thugs, do you want a woman with you, or do you want another man with you? And I don't have that answer. I'm not going to answer it for you, but think about it in your brain. How are you going to react? Also, I think that's important for this story in particular is maybe you are a female cop. And listen, if you are a female cop, that's fine. Own it. And let's become the best female cop we can be, become a Red, so that other cops feel comfortable. I never felt unsafe around Red. Matter of fact, I felt just as safe with Red as I do with you or anybody else because I know that she put her hurt on somebody. I know that she's not above putting her thumb in somebody's eye socket to save my life. You know what I'm saying? I know that at the end of the day, Red's not running in the opposite direction of whatever shit I'm getting into. And so, but I think as a cop, even as a female cop, you should be trained and you should have some form of training. You have training. You are a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. How important is it to have a base fundamental understanding of grappling and being a police officer? You were a training officer for a long time. You've seen just about all there is to see as a police officer. Who knows how many uses of forces you have? How important is it? Tell everybody how important it is to have some kind of baseline fundamentals in grappling as a police officer.
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson with that would be that it's going to help you relax and not get that. I know that you've talked about this on shows before where 30 seconds into the fight, you feel exhausted. And I think that is one of the big things is just whatever martial art it is, whether it's judo or jiu-jitsu or, even some stand-up arts too, that's fine. But the big thing is just being comfortable being in those physical encounters and also being physically fit enough to be able to outlast that. Those are important things as well. And then the last part of that would be just checking your ego and realizing that, there's a lot of people that are going to be better than you. So, here in Raleigh, for example, we've got Fort Bragg right near us. In Fort Bragg, you've got a group of special forces guys that are trained all the time. The military are training all the time. Well, what do you think they do when they get shit-faced, in downtown Raleigh and they want to fight? Their training is going to be a higher caliber than yours. So it's not going to be a good idea to try to pull guard on them, So I think that recognizing that and recognizing, okay, what tools do you have available and when you need to engage and when you need to disengage.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing I've ever learned from jujitsu. And the funny, crazy thing about jujitsu and training, just any martial arts, I train Muay Thai as well. And I realized I went to a tournament last weekend, and my first opponent was way bigger than me, just taller than me, and weighed more than me. And it didn't even register that he was that big until my wife was like, "That's your first match? Like, isn't he a lot bigger than you?" And I was like, "Yeah, but you know what? I don't even care, because it doesn't matter the size of the person, especially when you're trained in grappling. It's knowing what moves you have and using those moves to the best of your ability and just working through the problem as it arises." So whether he mounts you and you've got to work out of mount, whether he gets you in a clinch, working out of the clinch, it's all step by step. And taking that to the streets it puts you on such another level. It's the one thing I wish somebody would have told me when I was an active cop, is that train in a jiu-jitsu, judo, MMA style martial art, one of the MMA martial arts, and be confident in that. And so, for me, I did a lot of CrossFit when I was a cop. And so I was walking around jacked with the abs thinking I was the shit. I didn't realize that the jiu-jitsu guys, one, have bigger abs, are way stronger than I am, because they don't really like their workout that they get in an hour would be like 6 of my workouts. And they're the ones that are walking around just kind of laughing at everybody else. Like, look at that guy. Yeah. Like, nice fake abs, bro. Like cool abs that you can't use, and I think you're right, because when you do have that grappling experience, you do know your limitations. We do know that somebody with a knife can drastically change the entire playing field of that sport, and nothing that you do is going to work. Or the things that you do have in your pocket that you can use for certain things, those are out the window when a knife's involved, or when you're having to pin a gun up against somebody. But it's that ability to say, he's got a knife, let's go ahead and focus on the hands, focus on the knife, you control the breathing, be in it for the long haul, move around, keeping your distance, all of these things that are just fundamental basics that would absolutely save your life. This cop right here is in shape, and he's in better shape than this guy, and he's doing a really great job. If he would have had a little bit more, or he would have relied on some fundamentals of grappling, I think that this might have had a much different outcome. I also have a problem, though, because a lot of the grapplers in the industries are talking shit about this video. Cops have a lot on their plate. Cops can't just go train jiu-jitsu or judo. Cops have a schedule that is the most taxing schedule aside from a surgeon. I think that no schedule amounts to the pressure that a cop schedule has. 12 hours, overnights, switching days to nights constantly. Plus, if you work all night, then you have to be at court early in the morning. You're required to go to in-service training, which is always during the day. So even if you're on night shift, you have to wake up early. A lot of times your squad's too short so that you can't just go to in-service training, go home, and then not take your shift. You're going to have to go home, sleep for an hour. A cop's life is this kind of book with chapters of sleep in it. You know what I mean?
It's like long naps. Yeah.
Long naps. And for years.
Especially on night shift. I could never get adjusted to night shift. So I would go home, eat, watch a little TV, take a nap, get up, go to the gym, take a nap, go to work, and do that for a month.
Take the kids to school,
Yeah. You do everyone else is awake. So especially when you have a family, right, you're doing all that. And what I was referring to about knowing your limits, and what people don't really understand, is that when you're rolling or like sparring with a high level belt, I remember Ned Bird was a friend of mine who was a deputy that was murdered by 2 cartel members, and he was phenomenal. He was in great shape. He was a high level purple belt or brown belt when he passed away.
Fully cauliflowered ears. I mean, in the best shape ever.
Good. When you sparred with him, he would have me put him in a rear naked choke and tell me to start squeezing, and then would start from there.
Yeah.
Or, okay, put him in an arm bar, put him in a triangle, start squeezing. Okay, now we start. And that's what I'm talking about, that there are plenty of people like that, especially as jujitsu grows. So what cops don't need to do is to think that this is like a game where, you've all seen the videos or people that watch jujitsu of how the match starts and the guy sits on his butt and tries to like pull guard. Like, that's what we need to realize as police officers not to do. Like, that's sport jujitsu. That's not,
Yeah,
going
and I mean,
to
like,
apply.
I'm not telling you to go train sport jujitsu either. There's
Right.
so like I don't
No,
train
there's-
sports jujitsu. I train
Right.
jujitsu self-defense.
Right. And it depends what school you're at, right? Like
Yeah,
the school that
exactly.
I was at, Billy used to tell us, like, if you're not on top, you're losing. And I remember that sticking in my head. And I think that's kind of the mentality that cops need to have, is that, if you're going to go to the ground, then be on top and be aggressive and win. But also keep in mind that if you go to the ground and some guy pulls like spider guard on you or something wacky, you need to have the presence of mind to say, oh shit, I need to disengage, get some distance, and try something else, because I'm about to get choked out or my arm's going to get broken.
Yeah, he's a taser candidate. Like, once you like even put me in a guard, like, you're a taser candidate. Like, I'm using tools, right? You know what I mean? Like, if I come in contact with you and you get up on your toes and you bring your elbows in, like, I know right now that you're trained, and I'm not gonna go fist to fist with you. But now you standing like this, with your dukes out, like,
Right.
nukes out. Yeah, maybe I'll throw some punches and stuff like that. But here's a big picture of me. This is an artist rendition of a picture of me from a fight that I had that went to the ground. I would say it's a pretty accurate picture of that fight. If you remember, this was the ride along fight, Santana.
Yeah, that's
you were
when we
there
all
when
went to IA.
yes. Yes. But, so obviously it's going to be very brutal, and you're going to get, your pants and stuff are going to get shredded. So anyway, all that goes to show is that, if you're not getting some kind, I understand that you guys have to shoot, and I understand that you have in-service training, and I understand that, but most cops go to the gym, and I would say trade your gym time out for grappling time. And I train with a bunch of cops, and every cop that I train with, is the best of their kind. And if you really want to be a good cop, you owe it to your family. Don't go to the gym. Like, if you're wasting your time going an hour to the gym, go to a local jujitsu gym. The hardest belt to get in jujitsu is your white belt. It's the hardest one to start. You're scared. It's something new. Your first one's going to be free. Call me. I will call a gym and set it up for you. You can hit me up on Eric Tansey official on Instagram, or FTS failure to stop, whatever it is on Instagram. If you're really serious and you want to, I will find you a gym somewhere near you, and I will get you in the doors. I'll do all the work for you, but I think you owe it to your family, and you owe it to your friends, because you owe it to your community, because it really is going to make you that much better of a cop. You are going to be so much calmer as a cop. You're going to be able to talk better as a cop. You're going to make far better decisions as a cop. That is what fight training does for you. And it really gives you a different perspective on life. It is a life-changing training, any kind of grappling martial art or stand-up martial art. Again, in that mixed martial arts community, it's a life changer. You're going to look at the world differently. You're going to go to birthday parties and you're going to look at the world differently. You're going to be like, man, this is pretty cool. Like, there's not one dude at this birthday party that, even if he wanted to, not one dude here could fuck with me, like, on his best day, and that's a cool thing. You will sleep better at night if you train, and if you train and you sleep on a ghost bed, you will sleep that much better. Today's show brought to you by ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. 10% off across the board on the new Ghost Bed site. They have they've redone everything. Listen, I said that, oh, well, I think Ghost Bed is going to drop us as a sponsor. We've been with them for 5 or 6 years now. At least they've been with me since I was on a major network and then coming over. And so we had that 40 to 50% off first responder deal, and they've just always been so great and kind to me. They've had me come down to the facilities down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I've gotten to meet everybody involved and see where the beds are made, and the customer service and research and development. And, I got to do all the things, and, but now that's run its course. Like, how many ghost beds can I possibly be selling they've paid for this whole show, and so we didn't re-sign a contract for the new year. However, they kept paying us, and they kept giving me ad reads and things like that. And so now they were very vague. I thought we were going to lose them in May, and it's fine because I'll always be a Ghostbed fan. But lo and behold, they sent me another ad read, and they now have a different site. So this is really exciting for me too. Go to the Ghostbed site right now. They've got a whole bunch of new stuff out. The Ghostbed Comfort Foam. They've reduced the price on all these. You can now get the queen bed right now with the promo code cheaper than $699. That's crazy talk, dude. A Ghostbed queen mattress for $70. This has it has the cooling technology. It has the firmness features that you could get in it. You can even go up to the Ghostbed signature beds. You can go to the Luxe foam. That's my favorite is the Luxe. But you can get the adjustable bases. They've got the bed frames that have the massage modes, the massage toppers, all the things. Head over to ghostbed.com right now. Take advantage. Plus, they've got my favorite, the pillow. My kids right now, they are packing the car. And, we're traveling with our Ghostbed pillows because we don't go anywhere without our Ghostbed pillows. They are the most phenomenal pillows on the planet. Let's jump into today's case breakdown officially. Let me play this body camera footage. What you're going to see right off the bat, it's nighttime, and you're going to see the motorcycle run the red light. Here we go.
The plate is 26 Foxtrot 7064.
Now, some of you may not know this, but pretty common knowledge to a cop. Motorcyclists always have weapons. If you're ever going to find brass knuckles, it's probably going to be on a motorcycle rider. If you're going to find a switchblade, stereotypically, it's going to be motorcyclists love to be theatrical. Like they love to play the part. They wear the theatrical outfits. They have the theatrical tattoos. Like they are very stereotypical. And so they have these like little gun compartments that are often on the bikes. They have knife compartments on the bikes and on their persons. They hide knives everywhere, and they love to play that role of I've got a knife in every pocket. So as a police officer, you know that motorcyclists can be a little bit more dangerous than most. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think you're right, especially of how a lot of motorcycle guys will emulate 1% gangs. So you're right. And the other really bad thing about a motorcycle is that it's harder to keep someone in a confined space like it is a car. When you stop a car, the person's sitting in in a seat with a seatbelt on, and you're able to approach it from angles where it puts them at a disadvantage. With a motorcycle, it's a little bit harder, or a lot harder.
A lot harder. Yeah. And this cop is no slouch. He knows all of these things, right? So he's thinking about that. He's like, man, I've got a motorcycle that just blew a red light in front of me. That's crazy. He's got all the leathers on. So good chance that this guy definitely has a knife on him. So he's thinking about all these things. And that's why I think in this scenario, the cop doesn't really want to close the distance on this guy. And I love all the grapplers and stuff that are like, oh, this guy's not trained. He should have some kind of training. Like even with the training that I have, but the knowledge I have as a cop, which you don't have as just a grappler, that you don't have in the safety of your little fucking gym, is that I know that this dude's probably got a punch dagger in his belt, probably, or some kind of funky switchblade, or he's got some kind of weird weapon. I mean, like I pulled over a motorcycle guy where he had a fixed blade inside of his belt buckle. Like you could pull the belt buckle apart, and it was like two punch daggers that went together, and then the belt went into the punch daggers. So it's like these motorcyclists have a lot of those weird, like 007 style attachments on their little action figure persona that they carry. So here we go.
You okay?
Yes, I've been drinking all fully sober. I'm just trying to stay safe. People have been almost hitting me all day, sir.
What's that?
People have been almost hitting me all day. I'm trying to
Okay, you want to come over here and just take a seat right here?
No, I don't want to sit
Okay,
right
just
there.
I'm telling you, take a seat right here. Come here.
I don't care if you're telling me what you're telling me to do.
2-6, I'll take a kill one. Sit down, dude. Stop. Come here. Get off the bike.
No.
Sit down.
No.
Sit down, dude.
All right. I really want to talk about this whole sit down dude thing. I was that cop more than once, right? Where I was like, come on, dude, like trying to be good. It doesn't work. That doesn't work in every situation. In this situation where you have an openly defiant person, you're going to need to, what do you think, Santana? It's this new wave of policing that started in the last 10 years where it's like the cop cannot be the alpha. Like we have to just de-escalation means be a pussy. When as soon as this guy says, no, I'm not going to sit down, that's when this cop needs to peacock and be like, yeah, you are sitting down. Don't you tell me you're not sitting down, and get your ass over here and put your ass on the curb right fucking now, or you're going to get handcuffs. How do you want that? Like state troopers, they don't fuck around.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Like state troopers around here will carry a mag light, during the daytime. So, you know that in like one of the old school mag lights too. So, they're not messing around when they tell you to do something. And that's another thing too, is like with their culture, it's very much you are by yourself. You need to be prepared to fight. And if you fight, like, that's fine. Right. We're not going to punish you for that. I think if you watch this video, the first thing, the officer does a really good job with his approach to the vehicle. He parks off center. That way he's blocking traffic. I was impressed of how he went around the passenger to approach instead of going on the driver's side, which is really good. That way you're, again, like, you've got to remember, you've got speeding cars that are going right by you on this highway. So that's another threat. And I think at this point, what you could articulate doing is, if you do have a taser, is that would be a good time to go ahead and escalate yourself. You've already asked him twice. He said no. He's walking back to his motorcycle. You don't know of what he has on that motorcycle. We talked about before about how through training and experience, that guys will carry weapons on their motorcycle. So this would be a good time to go ahead, draw your taser out. If you think that it's escalating to the point where he's going to grab for something, put that laser right on his chest or his lower body.
I was going to say, you're going to have to put it on his crotch, because that leather jacket, you're not tasing anything through that leather jacket.
Yeah, whatever. With the new tasers too, before you left or after you left, the new tasers actually have it's called an arc warning, where you can hit that and it's going to start to, you're going to see the electrodes activate and you're going to see the spark, and people know that they're about to get tased. And that's another kind of level that you can escalate to gain compliance, which is a lot better option than just repeating commands that are not working. When you're saying, sit on the ground, sit on the ground, sit on the ground, and he's saying, no, I'm not doing that. And not only is he saying no, but he's walking back to an area that you believe that, may have a weapon, then that's the perfect time to escalate your own force.
Yeah. And I think this, because of where we're at in 2025, not coming down on this cop, but we're at this like de-escalation. How can we do more de-escalation? And that's a training flaw. That's not this cop's fault. That's a training flaw. Like we need to be encouraging our police officers that, listen, we don't care what society says. They're wrong. They've been proven wrong in every case. This guy is walking back to his motorcycle. This guy is clearly a threat. He's telling you he's not doing what you said. He's a threat to society because he's absolutely hammered. He's giving you all the indicators that he's hammered. And now he's going back to his bike, and it could be for a weapon. That's when you tase this guy right in the butt. I had to get tased in the ass, and I didn't do anything wrong. this guy should get tased in the ass right now. But again, the cops are going to be more concerned with de-escalation because that's what he's been taught to do. And he's doing a great job of what he's been taught to do. And so I blame his leadership for this training flaw. Let's watch it play out.
Come here.
I don't want to sit down and come here. No.
He's uncooperative. Come here, dude. Sit down. Don't get back on your bike. Don't get back on your bike. Sit down.
Tired of you guys harassing me,
Dude, you ran a red light. Just sit down and we'll figure it out, okay? Salgil, what's your name? What's your name?
Here, I'll show you my ID. I'm here. Don't shoot me.
I'm not gonna shoot you. Don't reach for fucking shit. How about that? Sit down, dude. We'll figure it out.
I don't want to sit down.
Okay, well, you're gonna sit down.
No, I don't want to sit down.
You're being detained right now. You're not free to leave. You're not free to get back on your bike. You're gonna sit down for me.
I have an ID. Can I get my ID?
No, just sit down over here.
I don't want to sit down over there.
And the cop's like, I don't know what to do.
Well,
He's saying, no, I don't want to do this. And that's a training flaw because he's going, do I pull out? Am I allowed to pull out my taser? What am I allowed to do right now? Am I allowed to sit this guy for running a red light? I mean, like he's questioning himself. I can tell.
he actually did a good thing in saying that, like, I'm giving you a lawful order or whatever, but it should have been, okay, I'm giving you a lawful order to sit down, and then draw your taser out. And that's when, when we talk about in class of how taser is supposed to be a static tool. So it's supposed to be drawn when you're able. It's not a quick draw tool like your weapon is, where you draw it quickly and you should be able to, get off 2 rounds in under 3 seconds, right?
Right.
With a taser, especially with its design, it's got to be held steady, and it doesn't have the accuracy as a regular pistol, because it's not one, just looks like one. And so now would be the perfect opportunity that if you've got that tool available, you already told him that you've given him a lawful command. It's now time to escalate again and go ahead, pull that taser out, and, start finding a target on his body.
And that's why those taser drills, like in your squad room, where as a supervisor, you should line your squad up against the wall, and empty out their equipment onto the table, safely, and give out the blue guns and keep the taser. And then you face the wall, turn around, and your sergeant's standing there with a fake knife, and they have to pull their fake gun out. And he's like, good, holster. And then he pulls the knife out and he puts the knife down and he pulls out a cell phone. And so you have to rehold, and it gets that brain thinking. You should do that like once a month. There should be like a one Sunday a month that as a supervisor, you're doing these drills, because just like jujitsu or any other martial art, you don't learn something new every day. Like, matter of fact,
Right.
We learned all the techniques we learned last week. We're now learning them again this week. We're just doing them faster because you need, and then like, dude, like these are the same moves I learned 4 or 5 months ago. You have to keep going back to these moves and dialing them in because you forget what the indicators are. And that's so important with a taser, because right now he's forgetting what his indicators are. He's like, I bet you he had been a little bit more trained, he'd be like, oh, I know that I can escalate right now. I said
Right.
all the things I need to say. Now is a great time for me to escalate.
And one more thing before you move on. I don't think a lot of people really understand that the amount of non-lethal / taser training with the vast majority of departments is the bare minimum, which with taser, it's that you've got to watch a PowerPoint presentation every year that you can click through, and then you've got to shoot 2 shots at a cardboard backing, and that's it. Now,
Yeah.
with Raleigh, what they did is they did multiple in-services in a year, where you did drills like you just described, also scenarios where you're actually shooting an actual me a lot of times in a suit during scenarios. So you're getting that experience. But really good departments too start to incorporate other aspects, like, okay, maybe you're not going to use your taser. Maybe you're going to shoot him with, we'll give you a Sims gun, which is like a fancy paintball pistol. And maybe it's going to become a lethal situation and all that. And so my point is that departments really need to wake up and understand that there should be more mandated training, and that's not going to be by your state. That's going to be by your leadership determining that, you know what, this matters. We need to have our officers trained and prepared to deal with these violent encounters.
And your training shouldn't be theatrical waste of time training. Like, we know the PowerPoint. If it's not state mandated training, then why make a PowerPoint? We know that the PowerPoints don't work. We know that people don't retain the information from a PowerPoint. What we can accomplish in 5 minutes of a taser drill, is equivalent to what the state would take an hour and a half to teach you. You know what I mean? Just a little line up against the wall drill and rehearsing that once a month. There you go. Like that takes 5 minutes or less. And you know what I mean? So we don't have to like call you in off duty. We don't have to make a 4-hour day out of it. It's just more common sense, but people don't care anymore. It's all about checking the block. And that's the problem, is that most of the training that we do nowadays is to check the block. It's a waste of time, and it discourages cops from wanting real training.
I have an idea.
Hey, sit down, dude.
No.
You ran a red light. You're pissing yourself.
No. I don't want to sit down over there.
Very important to note for you audio listeners that he is indeed pissing himself as this is happening, which is also a huge indicator that shit's about to hit the fan. Like, this dude is like, if he's just sitting on the curb pissing himself, that's a different indicator of something different. But him backing away, trying to get on his bike, telling you he's not going to do something, having a fight or flight moment, and then pissing himself, shit's about to get real.
2-6, just having to step it up.
So knowing that shit's about to get real, the cop belades himself. And listen, maybe I'm wrong. If you're this cop and you want to reach out to me, tell me if I'm wrong, brother. But it's like, I think he got that twinkle in his eye. The guy pisses himself. He's got all he's going to get. And I think the cop stepped away and he was like, oh, step it up. He knows. He's like, oh, this motherfucker is about to do it. Because as soon as the guy does do it, the cop's like, not today, bitch. And the cop turns around and it's like right in the fight. Like, the cop's not caught off guard. He knows this is coming. It's like if you're watching MMA, if you're watching UFC and they come in the fight and it's like, like how the one, like Nate Diaz, he does this a lot where he like backs off, puts his hands down and puts his head up. And then the guy comes forward and he's like all ready to go. That's what this cop's doing. He's like putting his guard down, like, come on, bitch, you fucking gonna do it. And the guy does it. But like the indicator of him pissing himself in the stance that he's in is like, this guy's like, I'm going all in. And this cop's handling business. And so this is what I mean. Like, any amount of judo or jujitsu, stand-up jujitsu, not butt scoot jujitsu, this cop already had, was it Uchimata, where you throw him over your hip. Is that the one? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
But he's got the position. Like, he could have tossed this guy 18 different times. He's got great, he's got great position. But because he's just kind of raw dogging this. Now they're in the middle of the street. Now there's cars oncoming. The cop hasn't thrown one punch or one strike. He's going to attempt a leg kick, which is a waste of time here. But this is why I say that the training is important, because although this cop is going to win, because he's in good shape and he's a good human being and he's just a badass cop. But, he also got lucky, because right here he could have been completely squished by a, U-Haul.
Drop it!
And so what you just saw there was that the suspect was able to pull the taser out of the officer's holster. Is that what happened there?
Yeah, and I think that people have to be aware too, when they were near that, in the travel lane, that's not a deadly force situation where you can get run over. So, and the guy is, pushing him closer towards those traveling cars. So you've got a couple things, when people look at this, they're going to probably think, oh, if I was doing that, I would have done a double-legged takedown or whatever. But you've got to remember too that this officer has a bunch of tools and weapons on his vest and on his belt.
Yeah.
That the suspect is grabbing at, and he's definitely, trying to get this taser out, obviously. And so this is not like a traditional, you show up to your jiu-jitsu class and, you just have to worry about grips on your gi.
Yeah, no doubt. And the cop has a great base, thank God. And so he's not taken to the ground, but there was a lot of opportunities that the suspect had to take him to the ground, have the suspect even trained. Also, I think the double leg takedown is completely out of the scenario because the guy pissed himself. I'm not putting my face anywhere below his waist. That is disgusting, and that sucks. Let me play this whole video so you can see it in real time, and I won't interrupt you, but now that you know the totality of it, kind of watch this video and just think about, if this cop would have escalated from the beginning, how that in itself would have been a de-escalation, versus how I think that this cop took this suspect took the hey dudes and kind of just took advantage of the police officer's kindness. Let's play it all the way through and you tell me what you think.
The plate is 26 Foxtrot 7064. You okay?
Yes, I've been drinking all Police over. I'm just trying to stay safe. People have been listening to me all day, sir.
What's that?
People have been almost hitting me all day. I'm trying to
Okay, you want to come over here and just take a seat right here?
No, I don't want to sit
Okay,
right
just,
there.
I'm telling you, take a seat right here. Come here.
I don't care if you're telling me what you're telling me to do.
26, I'll take you pill one. Sit down, dude. Stop. Come here. Get off the bike.
No.
Sit down.
No.
Sit down, dude.
I don't wanna
Come
sit
here.
down. I don't want to sit down or come here. No.
26, he's uncooperative. Come here, dude. Sit down. Don't get back on your bike. Don't get back on your bike. Sit down.
Tired of you guys harassing me.
Dude, you ran a red light. Just sit down and we'll figure it out, okay? Salgil, what's your name? What's your name?
Here, I'll show you my ID. I'm here. Don't shoot me.
I'm not gonna shoot you. Don't reach for fucking shit. How about that? Sit down, dude. We'll figure it out.
I don't want to sit down.
Okay, well, you're gonna sit down.
No, I don't want to sit down.
You're being detained right now. You're not free to leave. You're not free to get back on your bike. You're gonna sit down for me.
I have an ID. Can I get my ID?
No, just sit down over here.
I don't want to sit down over there. I don't have an ID.
Okay,
and I want to
sit down, dude.
No.
You ran a red light. You're
No.
pissing yourself.
No. I don't want to sit down over there.
26, just have them set it up.
Drop it!
And your suspect is going to be Geoffrey Stirling, 45 years old, pulled over for running a red light on his motorcycle in Newport Beach on April 17th when he started to become uncooperative. This is coming from the New York Post. Body cam and dash cam footage released late Wednesday captured Stirling, whose cops said was on parole and had a lengthy rap sheet, getting into a heated exchange and scuffle with officers just moments before the gunfire. You okay? The officer could be heard asking as Stirling hopped off his bike at the beginning of the video. You guys all saw that. After being told to sit on the curb, obviously he's going to lie. He's going to not cooperate there. Moments later, struggle broke out between the pair. Stirling appeared to take a few sudden steps towards the cop, which was pretty obvious. And then, he takes the cop's taser, which I like how the post says he allegedly grabs the cop's taser. I mean, there is no allegedly about it. Like, we were watching the video in real time here. Drop of the officer could be heard shouting before firing at least 6 rounds. Police earlier alleged that Stirling grabbed the officer's taser from his holster during the altercation, then repeatedly tried to deploy it, including aiming it once at his head. Stirling was rushed to a nearby hospital in the aftermath where he was pronounced dead. So, great win for the police here. I think the cop did a great job.
Oh, yeah,
he did
absolutely
everything
did.
that he was trained to do, and
Yeah.
he went over and beyond. I just think our training needs to be better, and I think it's time that cops become the point of authority again. Like when you tell when a cop tells you to sit the fuck down, you should know that if you don't, there are consequences. And I think the problem with our society is that society feels like they are in charge and that the cops do not have an authority, and that is because even the mayors and the city councilmen and everything, they have taken that authority away from the police.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right that overall we can learn from this situation, and we can sit here and find out, okay, like what could we have done or what are options do we have? And that's fine. But in this situation, I mean, the cop from the start of the traffic stop till the very end, I mean, he did a phenomenal job. You know, he didn't panic, and he gave the suspects opportunities.
Perfect commands.
I think that you're right that we just need to reevaluate how we're doing training and what the culture of the department is going to be. And it really needs to be emphasized that part of de-escalation is the first step in a lot of people's policy is presence. And so, you know, getting more aggressive from the start can sometimes de-escalate things.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to start out with a dude or two, but right when the guy says no, that's when you turn the dude off.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I came to you with an open hand of kindness. You're the one that has closed that into an iron fist. And now it's, hey, motherfucker. Or, you know, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a hey, motherfucker, but it can be a, you know, I pull out my taser and I say, hey, man, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, you sit down on the ground now or you're going to get tased. You want to get tased? I'm not sitting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then and now we have the element of surprise. We have a lot of things going for us, but we're so ingrained with this de-escalation that sometimes people are going to take advantage of that de-escalation, and that in itself is going to lead to police-related shooting. I'm just glad that the cop is so quick and so good, because if that cop would have been tased, I really do think that this guy was going to kill the cop or going to do serious bodily damage, stomping on that cop. I don't think that this guy, in his drunken, intoxicated stupor, impaired stupor, whatever he was in, I don't think the flight was there. I think fight was where this guy settled in that time continuum there, that fight or flight continuum. He landed on fight. And so I think he was in it for the long haul. And I don't think this cop was going to have any other choice when that taser came out but to shoot and kill this guy. So I'm glad the cop made that decision. And, you know, he's alive for it, and the world's a better place because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cop should be commended for this. And, you know, the other danger in this call that I saw when he pulled out that taser is what happens when he gets tased. And when you get tased, you're going to fall down. You fall down in the middle of traffic, and then you get hit by a car. So, you know, you've got the deadly force of the suspect, and you have the deadly force of the, you know, the ongoing or motorists that are passing by your location.
Yep. All in all, though, I'm so glad that this cop was able to do that. I pulled the video from Police Activity on YouTube. You can watch the whole video there. If you want to read an article, there's a few different articles. The one I pulled from was with the New York Post. If you'd like to see more from Santana, you can go to Santana True Crime Podcast. Also, we have the free Holtzclaw podcast, Holtzclaw Project. You can purchase his book right now. It's available on sale at Amazon. A Murder on Campus. A Murder on Campus. This is a cold case that Santana solved with his brother. It's called A Murder on Campus, the professor that cop in North Carolina's most notorious cold case. You can also find more from me at Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story. You can find that on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. Follow any of us on social media and in a number of different ways. Make sure you support factormeals.com/Wolfpack50OFF and ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. Until next week, guns up